had ministers, they've had people who've gone to international bodies and they've done well. They have represented Nigeria in all aspects of field, of sports, of industry, and all that. And yet, for some reason, there's there's still this historic feeling with the events of the 1966 coup, with those that died in 1966 coup, and with the civil war. There's this historic distrust where other parts of the country feel that even though they have Southeasterners as neighbors, as friends, as co-workers, as colleagues, as Nigerians, in all aspects of life, in all parts of the country, even though you have them as doctors, as engineers, as lawyers, as the some of the most qualified hands, somehow there's a feeling that they cannot be trusted to be president. When Obi was running in 2023, I interacted with a number of people then. Some people even thought that I was supporting Obi. I'm no politician, I'm just an analyst looking at the issues, right? And then I asked someone I know from the north, I asked, what is the issue with Obi actually? Well, what's your grudge? What's your grievance? And he mentioned something to the effect that they cannot be trusted. That feeling that someone from the southeast cannot be trusted. It's something that it's a sentiment, it's a prejudice, it's a stereotype. It's something that from historical things that have happened in the past, and people hold grudges. And over the years, even though many died in the pogroms that happened in the 60s before the Civil War, even though many of them died in the Civil War, millions were starved, Biafran babies, malnourished children, people were deprived, even though they suffered a lot of loss. And after the Civil War, you have their lands and properties be taken over, and these people had to pull themselves together and and work hard, and create a system whereby they were able to create wealth, create opportunities for themselves and create wealth, and work really hard. And yet we still hold them to what happened in the 60s and say they can't be trusted. I was making the point that the president, if Obi won in 2023, he would have been president, but he would have had a National Assembly that was largely in the opposing party. So he's not going to get a free ride. The National Assembly would have checkmated some of the things he would do. And then you have the judiciary that will also checkmate what he does. Being president in Nigeria, you don't have absolute power. There are a lot of check and balances that have been put in place by the constitution. And so it's not a question of, somebody becomes president and so the person may just do things that favor just his region. And the funny thing is that other people become president and they make appointments that favor their region, and we don't make so much noise about it. And they keep awarding contracts in favor of their region. We don't say much about it. And yet somehow we feel, if this person becomes president, is going to favor the Southeasterners, as if it's something that is new. Then somebody said, okay, even if he becomes president, he won't succeed as president, as in he won't do well as president. That's funny. Even if he doesn't do well as president, will it be new? You've had someone from the north who became president, and largely people said he didn't do well. Okay, will it not prevent the the ticket from coming back to the north after the southerner has ruled for some time? It won't. It won't. The fact that people have failed before doesn't mean that you can't bring a new person. Even if the new person fails, it's in line with what has been happening. So if Obi had won and he didn't do well as president, it will not be new. Other people from other regions have been president and they didn't do well, and we still ride it on. We still ride it on. So the issue of that he would not have done well, and so what? So what, he didn't do well? Will that be new? It will not be new because other people have been president and they do well. You know, so they talk of, oh, if he was president, he would not have done well. That's immaterial. Other people have not done well, as and if the talk of, oh, he will favor people from the southeast, when other people became president, didn't they favor people from their region? And we are still surviving and we're still moving on. You understand? So it's all based on historical wrongs, and grievances, you know. But then, what some people from the southeast have said, which some may not have been so elegant in stating it, is that some in the southeast have said that there is need for there to be a meeting of the minds, that they have to be a convincing of the other regions of the country to support the southeasterner. Like some that were saying that they did not support Peter Obi, felt that there wasn't a lot of broad-based consensus from the Nigerian power stakeholders and all that. There wasn't, especially from the north, and the regions and all that. So I get the point. There should have been more negotiations, you know. And now you have a preparation for 2027. You have a situation whereby, you know, you have the ADC, you have the Labour Party, you have opposition coalition, you know, and yet there's still no consensus on supporting the Southeasterner. There's no consensus on that. Rather, we're having people trying to go back and bring in Goodluck Jonathan to run, and then we still have Atiku and others who are trying to run. So as of now, there's still no consensus to support the Southeasterner, you know. But it must be remembered that um, representation is important. Representation is important. It means a lot to people when they feel that they're represented. A lot of what led to the support that Nnamdi Kanu had was because of what was perceived as lack of representation, and what was perceived as the underdevelopment of the southeastern region because of poor representation at the center. That is the core issue. I don't believe in Nigeria splitting. I'm of the opinion that Nigeria should stay as one. You know, I'm of that opinion that Nigeria should stay as one. Because if Nigeria should break, it will break up into pieces and not just into parts. You know, for the southeasterner, in my own humble opinion, don't need a separate southeastern state of Anambra, Abia, Enugu, Ebonyi, Imo. They don't need that. You know, the Biafra, the eastern region would have been a success. But these current eastern states cutting off, it won't make any sense. You have the hardworking industrial people who are nomadic, who don't stay in just one region, who go across, they like the Jews, you know, who go to other places and they make success, like that. So it's better they stay within Nigeria. They stay within Nigeria. Nigeria is one, and then they get better representation, and we find a way to 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 come together and say if there were historic wrong, the debts have been paid, with the disadvantages, with the number of deaths they suffered prior, civil war, during civil war, and all they suffered all these years. And there should be now an agreement that, okay, let's give them a chance. Could it be in 2027 with incumbent Tinubu? It's a Herculean task. 2031, it goes back to the north. Comes back to the north. 2031 plus 8 years, 2039, comes back to the south. Comes back to the south, 2039. Would there be a talk of getting representation at the center from the southeast? Would you Would there be a way of coming together to support, let a Southeasterner be president, let them be represented in the center? So that's that feeling you have, my person has won, my person is the president, my person is at the center. That's that feeling of euphoria, of joy, you can also experience it. Not the despondent, sad look of disappointment with 2023. It's a different feeling of optimism and hope. So let us be empathetic. Let us put ourselves in the shoes of those who are not happy with the sentencing of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and be empathetic and feel what they are going through, and see how we can place ourselves in their shoes and see how to be reasonable in the way we talk about this issue, and see where they are coming from. You know, there will likely be political solutions to this Nnamdi Kanu case, and then we'll see what happens if that happens, and if he's released, we'll see how it goes. You know, but like I've said, always remember it's not about Nnamdi Kanu alone. It's not about Obi alone. It's about what they represent. One another thing that I didn't mention was that people said when Obi was contesting 2023, people said that he should go and resolve the security issues in the southeast first before he becomes president, which was really funny. Other people have been president when there was unrest and insecurity in their region. But when Buhari became president, there was insecurity in the north. He wasn't told that, oh, you have to resolve the insecurity in the north before you become president. And if before Tinubu became president, when there were areas of insecurity in southwest, you now say, okay, Peter Obi wasn't a governor. He's the previous governor. He's an opinion leader, right? But he doesn't hold political power in the southeast. He's not a governor. He's not a deputy governor. He's not a senator. He's not a House of Rep. And so he could not ensure security in the southeast. It wasn't within his power to do so. He ensured security when he was governor during his days as governor of Anambra State. He ensured there was security in Anambra State. Before he became governor, he said there was insecurity challenges. Then after he became governor, he put efforts, put a lot of resources in security force, and they ensured peace in the south in Anambra State. It wasn't for Obi to provide security in the southeast. And someone said that, oh, he did not condemn IPOP. He didn't condemn them very well. If he condemned them, this is really funny. You understand? Peter Obi knows that, the IPOP and what was a symptom, was representative of the agitations that people are feeling because of lack of representation. And he knew that if he wins as president, people will feel that sense of representation, feel that, oh, our person has won, you know. And so it's not just a question of coming out, I condemn this, I condemn that. No, it's a question of being able to work and fulfill that dream of the Southeasterner, that dream of seeing their person there and on top. That's being able to say, my person is the president. Una, my brother is the president. With that feeling, So it's not just about that. It's not about, okay, he has to ensure security of his region. Which other person contesting to be president and now say if there's problem in the state, must settle the problem in the state first, must settle the problem in his region before he becomes president? It doesn't work like that. You can only say if he is a governor and there's insecurity in the state, if he's a current governor and there's security in the state and he's running to be president, you now say, go and secure your state first. That can be said. But for somebody who's not in power, that cannot be said. So I wanted to make that point so that I don't forget, you know. So that's all about that. It's been a long video. I'll say I can edit it. People complain that my videos are long. So I'll say I can edit it. But the point I'm trying to make is that, in medicine, I'm in the headline. Some things are symptoms. They are not cause. They are not the root cause of the problem. Some things are symptoms. So some agitations are symptoms. There are some things that are symptoms of a problem. The real problem is that feeling of marginalization, that feeling of being left out, that feeling of lack of representation. That is the real problem. And it manifests as symptoms of agitation and all of that. That's the real problem. So it's not just addressing the symptoms, but addressing the root cause of the problem. Because if you handle one group or one individual, other groups or other persons, as we've seen, with him being in Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in detection, other people have come up, like Simon Ekpa and others. So more people will still come up and make the same fight and the same cry until the issue of adequate representation has been seen as one, as a member of the states of Nigeria, and not being seen as an outcast, has not been seen as someone who cannot be trusted. We have to find a way of getting over prejudices, stereotypes, and things based on mere sentiments and not on the real facts of the issue. Every person, every human being deserves a right of representation. Every human being. And when you have a system whereby you have a rotation, sort of, where power seems to be rotated among regions. Remember, there was Northern region, Western region, and Eastern region. 3 regions at a point before Midwestern region, before 12 states. Of those 3 regions, the Eastern region, and now the Southeastern region needs representation. And that should be something that we should always think about.